Harloprilar? Harloprilau. Man, some of these names are hard to read. What the? Harloprilau. You know what? Let's just call this character Pro. I mean, that's kind of a hard word to read. Or maybe we'll just forget about Pro for a bit and just talk about Larry Niven's Ringworld. You know, they say it's a sci-fi classic. Let's find out if it is, shall we? Yeah, I think that's probably a much better idea. Imagine for a moment with me, or a few minutes with me, a world 1,000 years in our future. A time when population control measures have been in effect. People get born and bred through lotteries to determine whether or not you're eligible to have children. This is a time where humanity has been genetically engineered and bred for certain traits to accomplish a goal, but this goal has not been set by humanity, but rather has been set by a race of cowards called the puppeteers. This is the future described in Larry Niven's Ringworld. This book has been heralded as a science fiction classic. It's legendary and award-winning. In this future, we have 4 characters that embark on a journey to this mysterious artifact that is this world made up of this giant ring around a star. If you could imagine kind of like a Dyson sphere idea, but not a sphere, rather a ring. Now, Nisus, which is our puppeteer character, he is from this alien species who played a role in genetically engineering not just the human species, but the Zint species as well, which are these aliens that are evolved from this cat-like creature who are basically this aggressive warrior-like people. And then we got Louis Wu, who is one of the humans who joins this crew, along with Speaker to Animals, our Zint character, and Nisus, our coward puppeteer. And then we've also got Tila, who she is also human, who she is the result of this genetic breeding program that had been manipulated behind the scenes by the puppeteers. Now, her purpose is luck. She was bred for luck on this journey. So they go to this ring world and they end up crashing on this ring world, the crash landing. So now they're fighting for their very survival, trying to survive in a mysterious artifact world built by who knows who. They don't know who designed or built the ring world to begin with, and they must confront the dangers of this world that has been engineered in some fashion, and also deal with the inhabitants of this world and try to learn to communicate with the natives for their survival. I think this is an amazing concept for a book. We've got basically 3 different alien species from incredibly different backgrounds, different skill sets and ways of thinking, often at odds with each other, and they must work together in order to survive on this ring world and this artifact. This concept is awesome. I love this idea. I love the concept behind this book. But that's where my love of the book stops. Overall, there just wasn't a lot in this book that I could really say is deserving or really justifies it being an award-winning book or book series. Now, I didn't hate the book. I liked it, especially the concept. The concept is awesome. I really, really like that concept. But for myself, I prefer things that are more of a character-driven story. And this just isn't a character-driven story. This is very much a plot-driven story, where the characters, we don't really get to know them in any kind of depth, so I didn't really have any means to really connect with our characters and how they interact with each other. it's still an interesting story. Like, I still enjoyed the story for what it was. It's just the characters themselves I had a hard time really kind of relating or connecting to. Just the way it was written. Between the natives and the main characters, of course, our main characters are heralded as like gods because the natives are very primitive. And so they kind of have to try to figure out how to navigate this world while not being able to communicate with the natives. And, you know, some of these natives viewing them as gods, basically. So that's kind of a key component of that, which, again, is a very interesting idea. Like, what would happen if we traveled to another world, we crash land on a world that was more primitive, maybe, you know, several thousand years behind humanity in development at that point, you know, back to like the BCE times of development, where culture and civilization was just barely starting. Would those people herald us as gods? Probably. You know, and as it's once said, any sufficiently advanced civilization would be indistinguishable from magic or gods to a sufficiently unadvanced civilization. So those ideas within that certainly, I think, are very plausible. But in terms of some other things, like the idea here, taking Tila, for example, who's one of our main characters, she was bred for the purpose of luck. So her only purpose in this, well, first of all, breeding humans for luck just seems like a preposterously ridiculous idea to begin with. You cannot genetically engineer luck. That's just not how it works. Luck is not something that is inherently genetic. You can't breed for that. So the very idea is preposterous, even in a science fiction reality. It just doesn't make sense. Now, my biggest problem with Tila, as the only female character in this book, is that she's basically portrayed as this unintelligent, this inexperienced woman who's only there for the purposes of sex. Literally every other scene, okay, I say literally, maybe it's not literally, but the point is most of her scenes, or at least a good chunk of the scenes in which Tila is involved in, is all about sex with Mr. Lewis Wu. And that's really what she's there for, sex and luck. And it just was not that great of a portrayal for that character. I thought it was kind of dumb, ridiculous. I think it really downplayed what could have been a much better character. And the characters selected for this journey to the Ringworld also seemed, you know, just, they seemed really unfit for the job. It seems like the selection of those who would join them on this journey were selected not for their technical scientific skills or knowledge, but for kind of these abstract, ridiculous reasons, which I think kind of played into why the overall execution of the story wasn't that great. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of this series goes. Definitely, I'm not giving up on the series. It has been heralded as a classic. It's received awards, so at least in theory, it's supposed to be a great series. Now, I didn't give it a terrible rating on Goodreads, but definitely not one of the top tier ratings. I marked it 3 out of 5. In a way, I kind of feel maybe that was a bit generous, maybe more like a 2.5. It's like right in the middle out of 5 as far as being good versus bad, in my personal opinion. So I wouldn't say that I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I think there's just a lot of things that really made it a not great read. But the story, the idea, the plot, the concept behind it is absolutely fantastic. And I love the idea and the concept behind this, just not the execution of the story itself. And that's kind of the key thing there. So those are just some of my thoughts on Ringworld by Larry Niven. I will, of course, continue the series, and I'll make sure that I put up my reviews on each of these series as the days go by, and as the months go by as I read them. I'll probably complete this series before moving on to new series. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Larry Niven's Ringworld. If you liked it, if you thought differently, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always open to hearing your thoughts on the books that I read, as I share my thoughts on the books that I read. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell to get the notification buttons, or to get the notifications when I post videos. And until next time, keep on reading. We'll see you next time on the next episode of Drew's Book Reviews. Bye!